It might be 9:01 right now. So, is it 9? We're late. We're very late for an important date. Okay, well, welcome to our very first book club here at Austria Strong Sioux Falls on Louise Avenue. We're very excited. We just want to go over a couple guidelines for kind of our time because we have exactly an hour, so we want to respect that, all of our time with that. Dr. Becky emailed you out yesterday the 4 questions we're going to be covering today. If time allows, we can do a little bit more chit chat afterwards as well, but our whole purpose is that we're actually getting ways to imply what we're reading out of the book. So I don't know about you, but there's a lot of books we read and we have the knowledge, but we don't actually take action on it. So our goal for this is that we're actually going to take action on what we're reading, and to understand that our bodies differently. So I think we all come with pre-notions of what our bodies should and shouldn't be doing, but we hope there's some more curiosity and a lot less judgment towards our bodies. So the first part is going to be a lot more about laying out the foundation of what we're going to be talking about. And before we go any farther, you all know us, your coaches, but you all don't know each other. So we're going to go ahead and just introduce ourselves, and I'm going to take it back. So we are recording because we do have people who can't join us live. So they're either snowbirding or working or just life happened. So we want to make sure they can still participate if they choose to, and you'll also get the recording as well. So just that's the start. So I'm Sarah, and then
I'm Jen.
And I'm Judy.
Marla.
Karen.
Linda.
I'm Becky.
And Deb.
And Jane.
And Gina.
And Dr. Becky.
thanks.
I'm so excited to do this. I want to do this for a long time. So thank you for participating. And it's a great book. So
yeah.
And if you do participate in the conversation, I'm going to hand you a little microphone. Just no stress, but just so that they can hear us on the video too.
Yeah. And if you choose to listen to the replay, you can hear yourself as well, because we all love to hear the sounds of our own voices.
yes.
So, okay, moving on. Okay, so the part 1, I know everyone got their book at different times, but was everyone able to get through at least most, if not all, of part 1? Okay, awesome. That's so good. So it really does invite us to rethink the ideas many of us have carried for decades, like metabolism slowing down, the aging means decline, and the strength being optional. So today we want to be just explore those ideas, but not necessarily be perspective. I used a different word when I read that before. So we have no gold stars for having the right answer. There's no pressure to share. And if you'd rather listen, that's completely fine. We want to know that we are supported no matter what. So, but we also wanted you to talk about what feels new and surprising, and what feels validating, and what simply makes you pause and think, I've never looked at it like that before. So we just want to learn about our bodies and not critique them, and to stay curious and kind and connected. So we did have one question that's submitted ahead of time, which was about metabolism. And so we're just going to go over that. And I have lots of notes because there's a lot of information to keep track of in my brain.
I just do a brief overview.
Yeah, I was only going to do the first part. So really the question is kind of, what is metabolism and how does it work in your body? So I don't know about you, but in my mind, metabolism was calories in, calories out. And as we age, it tends to get slower. But really, at a practical level, metabolism is actually how your body turns food into energy. It's how your body builds, repairs, and maintains tissues, and how it stores and releases energy depending on our needs. And realistically, it's energy management, and our whole body either uses metabolism or it makes metabolism. So that's kind of just like a broad overview of that, which then leads into our very first question, which is, how did the first section talking about metabolism change the way you think about it compared to what you were taught before?
Hey, I'll say I never thought about
Oh, she needs the mic.
I need the mic. I need the mic.
Well, you can-
I've
yeah.
never thought about muscles, bone, anything being outside the endocrine system being involved in metabolism.
Yeah.
So that was like, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
I better get my act together and start doing more.
I think that's pretty common, right? I think most of us, I think just the general public thinks about metabolism just in regards to like the food that you eat, calories in, gives you energy, and then you have to move and have to work it off, right? But I don't think that people realize that you can directly influence your own metabolism, and bones and muscles are the #1 ways to do that. And they're constantly being remodeled and constantly being regenerated, and so you have a direct influence over your metabolic rate at every age. It's just easier when you're younger. It's a little more effortful when you're older. But I think probably the biggest aha in this first part for me was that there's a 100% direct correlation in longevity and metabolic rate. It isn't just calories in, calories out, maintaining a healthy weight. The way we look, it's literally influences every organ system and every disease state that is linked to aging and ultimately death. So, and that we have 100% direct control over it. I thought it was very cool. I mean, given the research, so. Yeah.
My parents were a great testimony to this. My mother lived to be 97 and my dad lived to be 95. And when my mother was 62 and my dad was 63, they retired, and they were not wealthy by any means. They bought an RV and they went down to Florida. And everybody thinks, oh, well, you're so lucky and all that. Well, they were lucky in the regard that they had so many different ways to exercise. And they were ballroom dancers. And they ballroom danced their way across the United States and all over into different places. And so they were dancing, a couple times a week, maybe sometimes 3 times a week, depending on the bands that were there that they knew. And it was all, like Arthur Murray kind of dancing. It wasn't like dancing today. And then they would go down to the beach and they would walk in the sand. And that's not easy to do, walk in the sand. Right. And they would walk around their park, and my mother and dad played shuffleboard and all this kind of stuff. And they took their last drive home when they were 90. Wow. I mean, and my sister and I, when we would go down there, we would say, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. It felt like we were going to the health club because their food was, they ate a lot of seafood. They just ate really good, a lot of broccoli and stuff like that. And it was wonderful. And I really feel that was a big reason why they lived so long, because their parents didn't live long. Mm-hmm. I mean, my dad's parents died when they were in their early 70s, and my mother's dad died when he was 84, which is still a very good age, but not into the 90s. Mm-hmm. So,
well, into the 90s living.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not just existing.
Yeah. And when they went into their first, they were 93 when they went into senior living, and they went down to dinner, and there's all these wheelchairs and all those walkers and everything. And this woman comes up to my mother and she looks at her and because a lot of times they get pretty bold. And she says, "Who are you?" And my mother said, introduced herself, and she said, "We're new here." And she said, "How old are you?" And my mother said, "Well, we're 93. And she goes, "Well, where are your walkers?" Yeah. So it was like they were just expecting it to be that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a great test.
Yeah, that's an awesome story.
Yeah.
I love that.
So important.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know where you get your sass.
All right, anybody else?
If not, I might use the analogy for metabolism, because this is really good. So it's a simple visual analog? Yeah, it's just a simple visual. I spent way too much time with technology in these last 2 weeks. So if we want to think about your body as like a small town. So your metabolism is the power system of the town. So it decides where energy goes and how it's used, but your muscles are the workers. So they do the jobs, they use the energy. The more the strong the workers you have, the better the town runs. And your bones are the building and communication towers. So they hold everything up, they store important supplies, and they send messages that help the workers do their jobs better. So if your workers are weak or your buildings are weak, your whole town struggles. But when your workers and buildings are strong, the power system works smoothly. So it's kind of a cool thing to think about how our body's constantly working like a little town inside of us.
The more active your workers are, right, the more energy required and the stronger your metabolism is.
Yeah. So
yeah.
All right, are we ready to move on? I didn't go over the other things, so is that a problem about the timer?
Question 2.
Okay, question 2.
Yeah. We're just kind of just depending on how many people were here, we were just gonna kind of keep each person to around a couple minutes, but so this is working well.
Yeah. Okay. So the body awareness question is, we're going to talk about where do you see your muscle and strength already impacting your energy, confidence in your daily life. So maybe it's, or lack thereof. Yes. I mean, because I guess like here we see a lot of people when they start, especially like we can't go grocery shopping, or we can't play with the kids on the grandkids on the floor, or get off the floor, and our life kind of starts to get smaller, right? So like, what ways have you guys seen your life get a little bit bigger?
Or even like that example you gave, we had a new member that came in, and she was starting to not want to go over to her daughters and her grandkids because her daughter's toilet was too low to the ground and there's no grab bar. You guys, those are things you don't even think about, seriously. So she's not wanting to spend time with her family for something that is the most basic of need. That's just heartbreaking. So that when we really think about like the effects of metabolism and our energy levels and our ability to, you know, just do basic function, physical things with, like Sarah said, going to the grocery store. I mean, that's something, you don't go to the grocery store, you can't eat. So, you know, it's just heartbreaking. And I think we actually can see that at a pretty young age, where people really start to make decisions, not based on want, based on ability, or based on the logistics of how this is gonna happen. So, or even going to, you know, grandkids' basketball games and having to traverse the bleachers. So whether you going up and down, or even if you can sit there for an hour and not get a backache. So
Yeah.
So kind of in your own life.
So I have some things I'd like to say. Oh, that is a
It's
very small microphone.
You could also clip it too if you
Well,
want to, if you don't want to hold it.
Those of you that treat me here at OsteoStrong know that I'm coming off a couple of really bad years. I'm in my 80s now, and actually I worked until I was 79, commuting back to New York for business I ran there. And in September of 23, I stubbed my toe on a car stop in a parking lot and fell and crushed the head of my right humerus. And it was just devastating because my whole life shut down just like that. I mean, I was immobilized, have 8 big screws and 2 metal plates in my arm. Life as I knew it, I used to travel a lot to see my children and grandchildren, and life as I knew it just ended. And I'm quite certain I became quite depressed and was just eating really poorly. And I'm a fellow of the American Dietetic Association. It's my business. I know better. But this was the cesspool that my life had become, and I really had to pull myself out of it and get a hold of you know, to top that off, in April of that year, my right 15-year-old total knee replacement bent out in a direction that knees don't bend. And so I went from the top of my body being bruised and swollen and black to the bottom of my body being that way. And that had, at the ER, they snapped that back into place and wrapped it up and sent me home. And so there I was in another months and weeks of just, you know, whatever. And they told me I had to have a revision done or it would just keep happening again, which I did. So anyway, 2 years later, I'm back here, and I think, you know, it's the mind, it's the structure, it's the physiology, it's all of those things. But I found this book to be extremely enlightening. I've actually almost finished it, and one of the ways that I've gotten back, besides OsteoStrong, is I exercise at Active Generations. I've been in the SAIL program for probably 4 or 5 years, probably since its inception, and you can build muscle in your 80s if you eat enough protein. It's kind of like that. So anyway, that's my story. And
Well, we're
well,
so glad you're here and you're doing so amazing.
well, I am.
And it would have been really easy, Jane, to just give up, right?
Yeah.
Well, and you know, I think when you talked about your parents living well into their 90s, my mother as well lived to be 96, And people didn't have to go to the gym in those days because we just worked so hard that you got it all in. And she worked till she was 80 as a teacher too, but she loved what she did, which I think is so important. And then, for me, it's I have 19 grandchildren and 16 great grandchildren, and I just want to be around for them as long as I can be, and it's so much fun, and they're just so wonderful. So I'm very blessed that this even exists, OsteoStrong, for us. So.
Thank you for sharing.
Feels good.
And of course you read the whole book already.
Feels good to spit it out. Well, I don't read because of my poor vision, but audiobooks.
Yeah.
So, and that makes it kind of easy.
It does.
Yeah, it
But
does.
you don't retain it as well.
No, I know. I have to do both. Yeah, I have to do a little audio and go back and read. I have to do a little bit of both. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Karen, I'm going to call you out. I'm sorry, because you teach an exercise class.
I do.
And
I
I'm
teach sale.
Yeah, and I'm saying.
Give her the microphone.
So you're calling me out.
I am, because this is so amazing. Because because you have to see people getting stronger and having more mobility from,
Yes.
because you've been doing it a year and a half, 2 years?
2 years.
2 years now? Yeah. So, yeah.
A go-getter.
I teach at Our Redeemer Lutheran over on Western, and yeah, everybody's invited if you want to join.
Thursday after.
Huh?
What are you teaching?
Well, we teach, we do stretching. It's a sail class, so it's
What does sail mean?
Stay active and independent.
for a living. Yeah, stay active and independent for living. So we just do stretches and strength and endurance. So we have a little endurance part there and keeps everybody motivated and heart rate up and breathing. And yes, I've seen people have said, oh, I feel so much better coming to this class and moving and exercising and stuff. So yeah.
And I think what's cool is even though we move and because we can tell that, but it's it is changing the inside of your body. And I think that was the coolest thing for me to read in this is oh, the inside of what's going on is just way cooler than just what you feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Your cells are changing.
You know what I think is so awesome is, and I can't remember if I read this in the book or if I heard this through, I was a longtime member at they called it Sioux Valley Wellness Center when it first opened. I was there for 20 years, and then I went to another one for 6. But somewhere along the line, I heard them say, if you haven't exercised for a while, but you had exercised when you were younger, your muscles have memory. And that is so cool because it's not like you're starting from scratch. It's just you got to wake up those muscles and get them going again.
Even a few minutes.
Just a few minutes, yeah, it doesn't have to be anything.
And I had 2 I suppose I'll hold it.
You can hold mine too if you want.
Oh, yeah. I had 2 grandmothers that both were in their 90s, and a lot of you know they passed away together, but they were both in their 90s. And I'm telling you, they had 2 different lifestyles. But the main ingredient was they moved. They didn't give up. I had one Grammy that would go around in the room with her walker up until the day she could no longer move. And the other grandmother used to go with ladies and just swim every morning. And so they were both active differently, but they both had that don't stop moving mentality. So I think it's really, and they didn't eat. One grandmother was very healthy eating, and the other grandmother was Danishes. So the movement was huge.
And you're a beautiful mix of the two.
And I'm a beautiful mix of the two.
I will have my broccoli and my Danish. Thank you. You can just hold it and pass it to the next person. I think we can handle
Yes. So, it's important to think like that,
Yeah.
think about that.
Yeah.
Start anywhere.
Yeah.
Did you have something you wanted to say, Deb?
Yeah, I wanted to ask the sale class how you find out more about it.
You can talk to me. How do you find out more about the SEAL class?
You can talk to me.
But if you tell them, then it'll be on the recording in case other people want to join. Why not?
It's Our Redeemer Lutheran.
It's Our Redeemer Lutheran, and you can either call there and they'll take a message and I'll call you back. So
And you meet usually Thursdays?
and we meet Mondays. At 1:30 to 2:30, and Thursdays 1:30 to 2:30. And it's usually about an hour. Sometimes it runs a little over, depending on how much talking I do. But yeah.
I should go try to do it one day. You intimidate me, though. You girls will probably be like moving all over the place.
You're probably very coordinated. That's what she's
Very
saying.
coordinated.
You know, if I might add to that, I learned yesterday at Active Generations, well, yes, it was yesterday, I'm trying to think now. The crew that works with Carla that measures people's ability prior to starting a class, we just started a new class, was there. And I was early, so I had a chance to speak with him for quite a while. And I actually did a commercial for them, a news report that was on Kello back in, I think, 2022. And they said they're going to send it to me. But I was surprised. They said they have like 16 different locations that are doing it now. That's amazing, absolutely amazing. And bless you for putting yourself out there and helping people. Doesn't it feel great?
It does. And you know, it's also motivating to me because some days it's like, oh, I don't want to exercise. But you know, I have all these people that are counting on me.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Accountability.
Accountability, yeah.
And you don't ever regret it.
Okay,
And
perfect.
I don't because I always feel so much better after I do it. And
Game changer.
and one of the things that I also stress, you know, even if you have a few aches and pains, you still need to kind of exercise and just kind of keep your body moving.
Yeah.
The body heals through movement.
Yeah.
Yes, and stretching is
Yeah.
wonderful.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to move on to our third question. So what surprised you most about the idea that bone and muscles are active living organs and not a passive part of the body? First of all, was that surprising to anybody? Part of me feels like it shouldn't have been surprised because you've been here a long time and we talk about bone being living tissue, but I just want to make sure. Okay. You have something you want to say? You want to add to that?
No.
Okay. See, I say I don't know.
I think the biggest takeaway from that is then you have influence over it, right? So, because there's so many people who just start to age and they just age and it's inevitable and it just becomes something that they feel like they have no control over. Or they get a few aches and pains and then they just give up, or there's no hope for me, or they get a devastating diagnosis or an autoimmune condition. I mean, there's just a myriad of reasons, but the fact remains is if you have the thought that you have influence or control over something, it gives you autonomy to then take action. And it's just like you, whether that is joining a group that holds you accountable. We try to do that here. We have a lot of people that call in and I have a backache today, and well, that's no excuse. You still need to come for your session. So we might take it easy, but you still got to be here. And so we take that accountability really seriously for our members because we can't get you results if you don't show up. So that's our job, is to make sure that you show up. So I think that was probably one of the biggest takeaways is they are living tissues, and no matter the age you are, whether you're 5 years old or 85 or 95 years old, you can always improve. It's not going to be by light years, but you can always improve. And I mean, your parents are testaments to that. But I have teenagers, you guys, and I can see our generations are very different. When our parents were 95, that's what Jane was just saying. They didn't exercise because their lifestyle was exercise, and everything was very more difficult. And then my parents' generation, it was more difficult, but less so. They had cars. And then now, my generation, we were active as kids, and we had to walk to school, and we were playing outside in the snowbanks. And I don't know about your kids, but I wasn't allowed in my house 90% of the time. Yeah. We were kicked out. And so we had to, but that created, so we were just active in that way. And now I have teenagers that I literally have to kick in the butt to even empty a dishwasher. Yeah. Seriously. And so I worry about where are they going to be at 30 years old and 40 years old and 60 years old. And this is our first generation that there's a prediction they're going to have a shorter lifespan than the generations prior to them. So that's something that
Get them to work in a
so
senior
important.
center.
Yeah.
Have them volunteer at a senior center.
at a
That's
senior
very
center.
motivating to
Yes.
me.
But I think there's a disconnect with those kids because they're being raised in this environment of athletics is their movement, so it's a snippet of time in their day. It's not their day, if that makes sense. And they're not allowed to move in school. I don't know if you guys have any grandkids, but if they get the wiggles, they're punished for it. They're not allowed to move in school. So movement at this generation just isn't, it's not the same idea as it was in prior generations. And then we also have isolated exercise classes. We're active if we exercise 3 times a week, but we're not active if we're getting 10,000 steps in a day. Does that make sense? It's just a completely different mindset. The way the body stays healthy is through movement. The complete absence of movement is what?
Death.
Is death. So that's the key takeaway, and it's not just staying active and having healthy muscles, it's because your muscles and bones are metabolic organs. So they bring in nutrients and they help flush detoxification. They help regulate blood sugar, it helps regulate blood pressure, it helps keep your heart muscle healthy, it aids in digestion, it brings nutrients to your brain. So there's so much more that's happening than just staying active and being able to continue to go to the grocery store at a cellular level. So, and that I think is what's, and from my perspective at the age that I'm at now, I'm getting into, I'm only 29, but we're getting into it. so I can appreciate this so much more, but I worry about the younger generations. So, yeah.
But
Always
also,
29.
but we've also seen, right, like you always think osteoporosis is an old woman disease.
Absolutely.
But also we are seeing bone loss earlier and earlier in earlier generations
We're seeing
between,
people being diagnosed in their 50s now.
yeah,
So.
50s. Well, even Hannah was only 18 or 20 when she had osteopenia already, right? Like, so
Yeah.
we're seeing
It's
it
a
much younger.
devastating diagnosis, but
Yeah.
and we are going to be seeing that younger and younger because we're just not building that bone and muscle strength. We build a bank because by the time we're about 30-ish, it's as good as it's ever going to get.
Yeah.
Well, if you're lethargic and you're laying around as a teenager and never building that bank, your starting point is going to be significantly set back from the get-go. So that is worrisome, but I think there's a mindset where aging is just inevitable. Of course, everyone's got to just get old and just sit around, but it's absolutely not, and you can influence and have a direct impact on your health outcomes.
It's an excuse.
It is an excuse, yeah. But there's a lot of people that don't look at it that way, Judy, and that's what's heartbreaking. And I think that's the point of kind of this first part 1 of her book, is that you have the ability. That's the whole point of this. And now we're going to move on to part 2. Now we're going to talk about how. But you have to first buy into the very real fact that you can. You just have to want it. So.
Well, I'm not going to say a whole lot about it, but I was a victim of the drugs that they make for your bones that are supposed to be so helpful. And, and it's the easy way, just take a pill or take a shot or whatever. And I had a femur fracture back in 2011 that was due to the Boniva that I was taking. And it's not fun. It's not fun at all. And, so if people just understood that this is so important and it's not, you're just aging. And so you've got an excuse. You don't have to move. You're old. You don't have to move. And some people are old in their 60s. Some people are old in their,
Yeah.
So I had an amazing grandmother as well who passed away at 96, still in her own home, still leading her Bible studies, still playing bingo on the regular. She had gotten pneumonia and just passed away. It was beautiful. What an awesome way to go. But her favorite thing to say is everyone has to get older, but getting old is a choice. And she refused to get old. Absolutely refused to get old. She was still gardening, so she was slower, but she was still 100% living her life. So, and loving every moment of it. So she had aches and pains. She was hunched over like no other. Never let it slow her down. So, but I think that's the thing is that our bodies are 100% capable of healing themselves given the right stimulus and given the right inputs. So, but what you put in is what you're going to get out.
Which is what Jane experienced.
Well,
absolutely.
The interesting thing I think about when you're talking about young people today, and I observe this in the young people in my tribe, some are quite active athletically, but others just are couch potatoes. And I have one granddaughter that actually converted her dining room to a playroom. They have gymnastic bars in there, and anything you can do to keep children as healthy as we know they need to be. And then sadly, my mind goes to how terrible our food supply has become. and the overuse of pharmaceuticals that you just spoke about, Judy, and we're a mess. We're a mess, and for those of us who might feel we have a little more insight, I think it's our responsibility to try and do something to help those that are coming along. I try and teach the kids, how to cook, how to make homemade soup, vegetables and chicken. And nobody cooks anymore. You go through the drive-through and it's garbage. It's loaded with. I mean, every once in a while, maybe if you just want to, out of curiosity, but we have a long way to go.
But to that point, Judy, it's so funny because my girls were raised in that baby food. We did all that. I'm pretty crunchy, but they don't know that that's not normal or that's different until they realize it. And for our house, that was about mid-elementary school-ish. So of course, the girls took their lunches every day because we didn't do school lunch. And my oldest, I will never forget the day she came home and asked us why we eat weird food. And I was like, weird food? What do you mean? I don't want to eat our weird food. I want to be normal. And I was like, so you were raised in how you were raised, what your normal is now being labeled as weird. But that's the impact of our social life, right?
And marketing.
And marketing, very much so. And she got her first taste of a Cheeto and she was hooked. So it was at school. And then I learned for like 3 months she'd been swapping food with her classmates so she could eat the junk, but they wanted her fruits and veggies because they don't ever get them.
Interesting.
So yeah, and it was, but I will never forget the day when our lifestyle became weird to my children. So
wow,
and that's the very way that they were raised. Now they're 19 and 17 and they're starting to come back to that. But it's been, and I've just had to continue to influence as best I can. And continue to just kind of be the model. And they're now starting, especially my oldest, she's in college now, so she's starting to do her own cooking and buy the foods that are that aren't processed. But I gotta tell you, that's a huge struggle, even from trying to raise your kids in that environment. It's tough. It's really tough. So
that's interesting.
You do just have to.
So give me 1 second before you.
That you have to model the behavior that you want people, to, and hopefully you just hope for the best. So.
My son and daughter-in-law knew that they were a match because when they were getting to know each other, they found out that they each got carrot sticks in their lunches. Isn't it so sad? Your kid, like, and today, who puts carrot sticks in a lunch?
Becky. Becky sure does.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as our
Yeah.
youth today,
Yeah.
who does that?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So I know at the beginning I said you could just listen, but question 4 I want you all actually to answer before we go. And we do have enough time. So I think I'm going to give you the question now so you can think about it, and then we can just do some kind of general Q&A or just like your favorite takeaways from part 1, but this way you have time. See, I'm being kind to you. So the last question, because we want this to be something we're going to do, is based on what you've read so far, what is one small thing you feel more motivated to protect or support? I have mine on my. No, okay. Oh, I see. I thought you were going to talk after me. Sorry. We've spent a lot of time together. Okay, so based on what you've read so far, what is one small thing you feel more motivated to protect or support your muscle, bone, or energy? So just thinking about protect or support, that's not a big change. And it could be something besides that, but muscle, bone, or energy. So think about that, and then we can kind of just do probably like 10 or 15 more minutes of just, well, probably about 10 minutes of just general favorite takeaways or things, because you have something out here you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, one thing that was like a wow aha moment for me was where it says that's why exercise isn't just a vanity thing. If you stop moving your muscles, your muscle starts shrinking, and one study showed around 3% decrease in leg muscle after 7 days. So when I think about that, like I literally have gone through some depression where I just tell myself, it's just a week that I'm down and out, or it's just the winter season, or it's just a part. But I've actually absolutely felt the decline in my muscles, the pain in my hips. And so just getting up and moving. And for 1 solid year, I went and worked. I wasn't here, but I went and worked with geriatrics. I worked with assisted living, memory care, home health, and adults with disabilities. And I found that that was huge. Depression is so huge in the centers, and having to go in, that I've talked with gentlemen, I've talked with women that were just bedridden because they were depressed. And then they forget how to move, and then their body's like, no, I don't want to. You haven't moved for a week, let alone months. And so that was really huge and eye-opening for me in just this chapter on page 67. We got to get up and move our bodies. We can't be sedentary after a whole entire week, let alone months. So that was really eye-opening for me. It's huge. And then the depression kicks in.
And like for my generation, like 80s, 90s, right? Like we were taught you work out and you do that for vanity, right? Like, so just changing that, like it's not actually, and how when we have that conversation here a lot too of like, well, it's how I look and how I feel. And like none of us want the extra pounds, but the same token, that's not the end goal. The end goal is that your body's actually functioning and moving right. So
Your mind, telling your mind, get up, just
Yes.
move. Like when I exercise for a minute. I'll do kettlebell swings for a minute. And if my ADHD gets the best of me, I'm like, I did it for a minute. I moved. I ran up and down my stairs, and I do simple things like that. I do counter push-ups when I'm waiting for my coffee being microwaved.
that's huge.
So it's just mind over matter. Just get creative, you know. We don't have to do a whole bunch. Yeah.
Here you go, Miss Marla.
You know, I think we all know this, but it just kind of hit me when I read this. Bone health is determined in large part by muscle strength and the communication between these two organ systems. And it was just an epiphany for me. It's like, okay, we need to work on our muscles too. So that was really good. And then the key element for arming yourself against age-related decline, it's protein and resistance training. That was really good. This book was so encouraging because it was, okay, I'm falling apart, but there are things I can do.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Marla, I love that you just said that though, because that's where, that's what a lot of people think, but they don't voice that. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? 'Cause
yeah.
it becomes frustrating, and then you start to lose hope, or you every time
And
you
you-
try to do something, you hurt yourself.
Yeah, and you get depressed,
And you
and
get depressed, or
it's like,
your
oh,
friends
this is
stop
it.
being
Yeah.
And stop comparing yourself to others. It's huge. Like everybody's on their own journey.
It says a muscle-centric lifestyle incorporating nutritional and movement changes can rewrite your life story. And then this was also good. A future projection of what it will cost you if you hang on to your current bad habits. Highlights what you will need to give up if you continue to make negative choices.
I like
Yeah, I know. I liked that too, actually.
We all do.
Well, yeah.
When she was like, what is that 40-minute of snoozing in the morning? What would your future self say to you as you're pushing the snooze button? You know, I think about that a lot. 'Cause I'm a teenager, so going to bed to get a decent time in my house is a struggle for this mom. So getting up in the morning, you know, and so I think about that, you know, in 10 years, am I gonna be like, you should have kicked your butt out of bed.
Yes.
And gotten up and spent this time on the treadmill, and that's, or lifting some weights or doing whatever. And so I like that, because when you think about it from that perspective, your days aren't just isolated. You know, it's not just an isolated day, because your days do, you know, those choices determine
Yeah,
literally your future.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, very
so while
good.
you have the microphone, what's one thing you're gonna do?
Well, I haven't gotten past the first section.
Well, no, we're
yet,
not
but,
doing,
That's
that's not the right question.
Okay,
And we're not, we still,
still.
no, but we still have 5 minutes for general conversation. So
general
I just want to make sure, I know, we're going to do it all at the end. I got a system, girl.
I'm going to go with all three. I think that they all are intertwined, and for me, the one big thing that I noticed about strength was a year ago I had this knee replaced, and this one was replaced in let's see, what year was that? 19, and this was in 25, and I could never get past the growth line because this leg was so weak. And I didn't and I thought, why? You know, I didn't realize it was because this leg was weaker. And since, well, the first time I came back after it, I recuperated after my knee replacement. I was like, whoosh, and it was like, where did that come from? Well, it was because my leg was stronger and I was having to rehab it. And of course now, in fact, this was bigger than this as far as the muscle went. So now they're pretty equal.
Love it.
And, and they're working together, and that's,
And you were able to get that back.
yeah, and I was able to get it back. So, so.
Okay, so the question again is, based on what you've read so far, what is one small thing you feel more motivated to protect or support, muscle, bone, or energy? And it doesn't have, you just do whatever feels right to you. We don't judge out loud. Just kidding.
They'll talk about it later.
We'll decide what we have to talk about tomorrow, Jan, based off your, just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Or if you have another takeaway from the book too, that's fine.
Yeah, well, and I guess, the main thing that kind of hit me, you kind of know this in the back of your mind, but you kind of don't think about it every day. But it was like, to see yourself in the future. And my biggest fear, I guess you might say, is I do not want to end up in a nursing home. I want to be like your mom or your grandma and just pass away with something else. I don't want to have to be being waited on. I don't want to have to depend on someone else to do things for me. So I just, that kind of keeps me motivated to more motivated than I have been, I guess, to get up and move and do something. So, yeah.
Yeah,
So.
make the choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When you've overcome quite a few things too, so I mean, like, your body's doing amazing things.
Yeah, I've had some issues, so.
I mean, you're doing really good. So
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing a whole lot better, so, yeah. Yeah.
see, this last line is you. The goal is to avoid beating yourself up about any decline in favor of inspiring yourself to keep going on page 76.
Yes, I underlined
that should be like your,
Yep.
yes.
I underlined that.
because it's
so
too easy to beat ourselves up, right?
It is,
so it's
exactly.
just more to give ourselves that grace.
It is.
Yay.
Marla, are you ready to answer the question? Yeah. You don't have to be, but it would be easier to go that way with the mic, if you don't mind.
Well, I think bone, muscle, or
Energy.
I think of all those, I think I really need the muscle part. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to try to focus on. I've not been as active as I should be. So.
Yeah, that's okay.
You can enlist your
As you
grandkids.
could be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they can keep grandma active.
We have him, my daughter had surgery, so we have our little grandson with us for a couple weeks, and yes, he does keep us very active.
Well, when I was growing up, it was if you go to the gym, you don't want to lift weights because you build that muscle and then you look like a muscle builder, and you don't want to be like a muscle builder. And women aren't supposed to have all of those big, bulky muscles. And so that was a myth, I think. But to answer your question, there's a part in the book that says all about muscle, the organ of longevity. Building muscle is the most important safeguard for health because it is the bodily system that will allow us to live our longest, most capable, fulfilling life. The key is the metabolic health. By increasing your healthy muscle mass, you not only change your body's physical structure, but also direct how your body uses both food and energy. So, this was a very enlightening book, and I can hardly wait to figure out what this lion protocol is because, it's like, what is this? I want to get started to change things, but I think it's about muscle. I never thought of that before. You think of strength and you think of the strength training here and the resistance, but overall, it's all muscle. So that would be my answer.
Which is so funny, Karen, because like one of the first trainings we learn is that we always explain to people, yes, you'll get stronger, but you won't get bulky and you won't look like a power lifter. Like that is actually like one of the first things like that. They're like, you have to make sure them, that, you know, they'll be stronger, but you're not, because like it's a real concern.
It was always for me.
Like that, am I going to be really bulky and,
Yeah. Well,
you know, like,
and then the other thing is they always say muscle weighs more. So if you're concerned, you want to get down to that, whatever weight, which, you struggle with, every woman I think struggles
Yes.
with getting down to that, what they think is the ideal weight. The muscle weighs more, so you don't want muscle.
yeah,
But being skinny fat
is
leads
just,
to frailty.
yes.
So you can be 120 pounds and horrible body mass, body composition, and be wholly unhealthy, or 120 pounds and be.
I know, but
Yeah,
I never
Yes.
thought of that before, as
Yes.
far as the body, and you're skinny, but you still have that fat, and it's not the muscle, and the fat doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah.
So anytime you think to yourself on the scale, good Lord, I've packed on another 2 pounds or 3 pounds, but I'm lifting weight. You just think, but I don't want to be skinny fat. I don't want to be flat all over, even though I'm skinny.
Well, but
Skin
also
hanging down,
how she,
I know.
yeah, but how she explained too, like when your muscle cells and your cells are full of that fat, like your insulin, like how your body doesn't function. Like that was just like, oh, it's a big deal.
Like, wow, I got
Yeah.
too much fat, not enough muscle. I'm working on muscle.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, I think I'm going to go with energy, just in getting moving. And like you said, even if you only do 2 minutes, 5 minutes, you don't have to do it for half an hour, but do it just more often through the day. Go up those steps, down the steps. Don't take an elevator if you can do it.
Park in the farthest way.
Yeah.
Unless it's winter.
Unless it's icy and it's cold, then you have it out because we live in South Dakota.
Then you just go to the mall and walk one lap.
You can go
Are
next.
we answering?
Yeah, we're
too?
answering. Yeah.
I would piggyback on what Karen said, and just how important longevity is if we have healthy muscles. And I want my brain to continue working, and I guess I never really correlated those two things. And so that's been my biggest takeaway so far, is like, I want to keep these muscles healthy for all of the other things that they will help, so that I can age well in all of the ways.
Okay, mine's got to be muscle. In 2021 was diagnosed with lymphoma of the brain. So I went through a pretty grueling treatment protocol because they had to use some pretty nasty drugs that could cross the blood-brain barrier in order to tackle the tumor. And I lost over 20 pounds. I was 100 pounds when I came out of treatment. And I've been trying to gain it back. I'm back up to 111.
That's awesome.
It's been a while, but it's got to be muscle, because otherwise it's just fat that gets added back on. And so that's where I have to focus, is adding muscle. So.
We're so glad you are here with us.
Yeah, me too. Every day my feet hit the floor is a good day.
Well, I'm just so grateful for this book coming along and this group getting together, because it kind of summarizes what I've been fighting with for the last year or so to try and bring myself back to life. And it is all of the above. But muscle, yes, probably is the most important in my estimation now. And we're all just doing the best we can, and we hope we continue to do better.
I'm just so proud of you. I'm getting emotional over here listening to you. I'm like, breathe. You're a go-getter.
You have to answer the question.
Oh, okay. What are we answering?
Okay. based on what you read so far, what's one small thing you feel more motivated to protect or support? Muscle, bone, or energy?
Well, that goes back into when I was talking about just recognizing that 7 days of sedentary and not moving and how much you can lose in that small amount of time. So I am personally have been on a mission to get up. I get up early in the morning, often 2-3 hours before I have to start getting ready. But it's helped me a lot, and I do little simple things like stair steps and whole body vibes or just my kettlebells, and then nothing is major. But I'm just thinking about it now where I have like my daughters, I'm going to get these books for because I have one daughter that is not muscly at all and already has a little curve, you know, and just the way that I see that our lifestyle. So my mission and where I'm at, it's really not just my mind. It's mind, body, and soul. It all goes in together, and it's just really cool how this book ties into that. And it is all mind over matter, you know, and then we have to be our own heroes. We have to get up and move. We have to make that choice. We can stay in bed for 5 more minutes, but we don't need to. Get your butts up. That's what I took out of it. For me. For me.
Yes, me too. That's what I was saying. I was hearing Gina. I'm gonna pass this to you. Yeah, just because I don't want it to have feedback with mine.
But then there's sun lamps and there's
So Dr. Becky needs to do hers, and then I'll do mine, and then we'll wrap up.
Look this gal on the internet. I mean, they have videos of her working out and all kinds of things. She's
Dr.
total.
Lyon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
She's a total badass.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
That's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah.
that looks kind of creepy.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's.
like, in a really cool way.
But yeah, she's. But like also,
if you haven't seen her, you should go look.
we've talked to because like a lot of these books are written by people who started in the performance world at a younger age, and now they're just trying to figure out how can we continue to age when things what we used to do in our 20s and 30s don't work anymore.
Yes.
So she's also had a very like I am not that active. So okay, so you're gonna answer the question, and then I'll answer, and then we'll get ready for.
I don't. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm actually, I mean, it's going to be shocking given where we're at in my profession, but I'm actually going to say bone because it is the foundation for muscle to build from. Bone and muscle interplay, but bone strength is the limiting factor on your body's ability to build muscle mass. Because if your frame is weak, the muscles will only become as strong as that frame can handle, right? So your muscles will never be able to outpower your bones. We'll never be able to break our own bones. And that's just a homeostasis safeguard in our own bodies. So, but to that end, bone and muscle contribute 100% to the body's energy and ability to generate our own power plant, our own energy. And for me, given the age that I'm at now, I know, I mean, obviously it's what I do for a living, but I know that I have to be very mindful of my skeleton, and that also runs in my family. But it's also the easiest thing to let slide, right? Because you don't feel the improvements. It's not something that you get like immediate feedback on. You just have to know that you're doing good for yourself.
Well, you do get the feedback, but we don't contribute it to our bones being stronger or weaker, right? Like
Correct.
It's there. We don't feel it.
Yes.
Where we can directly correlate it. So.
Exactly.
So I've been debating between muscle and energy, anyways, I don't know yet. I want to protect both. That's what I'm going with. I was trying to decide I was going to take a Judy answer and be like all three, but then I was like, am I worried about my bones right now? That was maybe a lie. So.
The energy comes from the other two.
Yes, it's true. This is true. Yes. So, is there any, we have like just a few minutes, so I think we're ready to wrap up unless anybody has any other earth-shattering like ahas that they just remembered, because there's only 6 minutes left, so.
Just a question about when you send out these questions for us to ponder. I didn't get them, but it was because I haven't been on technology since noon yesterday, which is one of my goals in life as well. So is there a day or time that we should expect those?
I just did it about 24 hours prior, but I was trying to base it on any questions that were coming in, any feedback that we were getting from people, so that it's kind of tailored to what we want to talk about. So it was an email yesterday that went out. I can try to do that a little bit earlier, or maybe during your session.
And also the week prior might be too soon. and it might go to your junk mail.
Yeah, if you're not
Because
seeing it, look in
Dr.
spam,
Becky's
promotions.
yesterday was your first one that didn't go to your junk, correct?
And I've consistently kept it
Yeah.
in the
Yes,
junk
ma'am.
box, and it finally came in my inbox. But
Can I get your email address so I can put it in there?
so it comes from two different ones. Honey. There's OsteoStrong Louise.
Which one are you sending it on? You're sending it on both?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Osteo.
Louise.
Yep.
At OsteoStrong.com. And that's the one also that the weekly newsletters come from, the emails that everything always comes from.
It was
.me.
.me. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I know corporate did that.
Okay.
And then Dr. dot
DR.
Bear, BEAR 1044 at gmail.com. So it comes from either one of those.
Okay. It helps if it's in your phone, then you'll get it.
Yes.
Yes.
It improves your odds anyways. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So just as we wrap up, we just want to have a gentle reminder. I want to gently remind you of something really important, and that part 1 of the book isn't asking us to fix ourselves. It's just reminding us that our bodies are active, responsive, and capable, even now, exactly as we are. It doesn't matter our history, our body is active, responsive, and capable. So there's one thing I hope you can take away from today is that your metabolism, muscles, and bones are not about appearance or performance. They're about supporting your ability to live your life truly. So you don't need to do everything you write in this book. I know we all are like, hey, let's be go-getters. Baby steps make the lasting change. So you don't need to make any change. You don't need to make drastic overhauls or changes overnight. Sometimes that most powerful shift is simple. So see your body as a partner instead of a problem, and recognize that strength and resilience are still very much available to you. And then as you go through the rest of this week, just think to yourself, what does my body need to support? What does my body need support with right now? Not forever, not perfectly, just right now. So thanks for coming for our very first book club. And so we'll meet in February, because we're going to meet the last Thursday of the month. I'm looking.
Same time.
So that's the 26th. And we're going to do part 2, correct? So we'll go through page 83 to 158. And that's when we get to talk about nutrition and protein and carbohydrates.
Yay!
So that will be really
all
fun.
exciting stuff.
Yes, so excellent.
We won't just keep hearing about the life.
The new food pyramid.
I didn't know
Yeah,
there was.
yeah,
a
it's good. They
food
flipped it
pyramid.
around. It's great. Yeah,
Oh,
Inverted pyramid.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because after all the years of telling us
Yeah.
not to eat beef, now that's. good
Yes.
to eat beef.
Yeah, isn't
Yes.
that
We
something?
we got canines for a reason, people. We're meat eaters.
And my girls didn't
So,
grow up
God
eating
gave
a
us
lot of meat.
canines,
It
we're
was like
supposed to be
ground
eating
turkey
meat.
maybe, because
Yeah.
I didn't like it either.
I think it's
Now
time
it's-
to the beef producers
Yeah.
need to have people start buying beef because it's been too expensive.
Well,
Yes,
it's
and that.
yeah, but it's also a lot about protein and amino acids.
Different
So yeah,
things,
so we'll talk about that next week. So yeah,
And Deb had a good idea if we just go around and say our names again. to
Sure.
Reinforce so we can continue to
Sure.
get
Yes.
to know each
Yeah.
other.
Deb,
Jane.
Gina.
Sarah.
Jan.
Judy, Marla.
Karen,
Linda.
Becky.
there's a lot of Jane, Jeannie.
So I'll also make a note for next time. We'll have name badges for next week. Next
Yeah, we
time.
can do name tags.
Yeah, we'll do name tags for next time. Sorry about that. We
My
learned.
daughter Jane and my sister Judy and my sister Janice.
Oh, I have a sister Janice too.
There's so
That's really good, Janice. So.
And I did not get the email, so I gotta work on.
Okay, so otherwise we'll figure out a
Do you
way.
want to verify with Jane what email?
Yeah, Jane, what email are you using? Do you want to stop the recording? Thanks.